Jessie here. Welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new. For today's video, I am going into my budget planner and we are going to reconcile week 2 of January. I am a little bit behind. This was supposed to be filmed and posted last week, so we're playing a little bit of catch up. You will see later on this week my check-in for week 3, so we'll have a couple of check-ins back to back. Then I'll be all caught up and ready for week 4 and finishing out January. So I hope you are all doing really well with your January budget. I rearranged my office space a little bit and changed up some lighting and things, so hopefully everything looks okay. Leave me some feedback down below on how the quality of the video is. And without further ado, let's get started. I have everything I need in front of me. I got some cash, which we will deal with a little bit later. I've got my mild liners for color coding all of my expenses. I have my pen. Today I'm using a Pilot G2 and I have whiteout close at hand in case I make a mistake, which I inevitably do. And I have my budget planner. I am open right now to the 2-page hybrid budget in my winter pattern, which was the pattern I released for January of 2023. This is the 2-page spread that I use and go back to constantly to keep track of my budget. This is the main part of my budget. You can find this 2-page printable in my Etsy shop if you are interested. In addition to this 2-page spread, I use other worksheets that I also have available on Etsy to keep track and go further in depth. So I use an expense tracker. I've already filled in my expenses for week 2, which was January 10th through the 16th. So this is everything I spent out of my main checking account, my cash. This is essentially everything that is part of my monthly budget outside of like sinking funds, which I have on a separate worksheet, which you will see here. We'll go over those transactions as well. So this was everything that came out of my main budget. We're going to use these markers here, to color code everything because that's how I like to do it. We'll add everything up and then I will use the information from this expense tracker to update my hybrid budget. So I'll have my Etsy shop listed down below. All of the worksheets you see today are available there as printables. So if you'd like to set up your budget planner in a similar manner, I've made it really easy. Everything is linked down below. And because I know I'll get questions, I print my budget worksheets on 28-pound paper just using my at-home printer. I do print them double-sided and then I just punch them using a great big arc punch and I put them into a big size happy planner. All of the guts of my planner are my worksheets. The things that come from Happy Planner are the metal discs, which you can buy individually or you can buy a big size Happy Planner that has metal discs, and the cover, which this cover I believe came from one of the big size Happy Planner notebooks. So that's the gist of my budget planner. Let's start talking about what I spent. So we are looking back, as I mentioned, at January 10th through the 16th. I am quite late in filming this video. My apologies. Things got busy. It happens, you know. But I did write down all of my expenses as they happened, so everything is accounted for here. I'm just going to go down the list, talk about what I spent, color code as I go, because that's how I like to do things, and then we will update the budget. So let me zoom in. Hopefully that's not too far. And we're going to start talking immediately about bills. So I always like to highlight my bills in blue, as you can see here. It makes it visually easier to pick out which transactions are what. And it also makes it easier to add everything up. So for bills for the second week in January, I paid Michigan Gas, which came out at $67. And I'm just going to pull in my trusty dusty calculator here, handy dandy, whatever you want to call it, and add up as we go. So $67 for Michigan Gas, which is my gas company, and the other bill I paid was YouTube Premium for $22.99. So down here, I'm just going to start totaling things up. For bills, we spent $89.99. So I'll just get that written in. I don't really need a total for bills. The things that I really need a total for are my variable expenses, groceries, gas, that sort of thing, but I just like totaling everything up. All right. Next, I did get gas, and I put $40 in my gas tank. It was actually like $39.75 or something like that. I just rounded it up because I pulled the cash out of my cash envelope and deposited it back in the bank. You're not going to see me handle a lot of cash in this update since it is so late. I've already taken care of most of the cash. The cash that you will see is just what I take out of my spending money at the end to put towards debt. If this is your first video that you are watching of mine in 2023, I put myself on a no spend 2023 where I am not spending a lot of my personal money because I have so many things that I'm trying to use up and I'm trying to curb that spending. So I've been taking a lot of my spending money that I budget for myself and reallocating it to debt and to my son's car that I'm saving up for, and I do a fun savings challenge to do that, so we will do that at the end of this video. For gas, I spent a total of $40. Alright, next we have groceries. I highlight my groceries in this yellow color here. So we went to Walmart and spent $99.04. I do have a grocery haul covering all of these expenses, showing you what I got for my money. And then we went to Aldi for $59.40. And that's everything for groceries for the week. So we spent a total of $158.44. Not too shabby. Been trying to keep my groceries spending low. I feel like we are probably going to go over budget overall for January because I budgeted a pretty small amount. We've just recently changed our way of eating, so I really had no idea what it was going to cost us to eat in January, so I kind of plucked a number out of my head and figured I would use January as a month to just kind of track and see how we do, and then I can use the information I gathered in January to help me budget moving forward. Alright, next we have eating out. I said at the beginning of January that I was going to budget money for eating out, but it was going to be my mission to not eat out at all. As you can see, that didn't happen, and that's why I budgeted the money, because I knew that was a possibility. So my sons ended up getting Wendy's this day. I was very proud of myself. I ate at home. My husband ate at home. The two of them were out and about. Austin had soccer practice and this and that and the other, so they had Wendy's, but I did not. So still feeling really good about my healthy eating in 2023. For the most part, I've been doing pretty good. But my husband and I did go to Dairy Queen and get an ice cream cone. So a total of $41.69 for eating out. Not too bad considering this was the first time we had spent money from our budget to eat out. We did go out to eat for my son's birthday, but that was a separate budget. We budgeted specifically for that in our celebration sinking fund. So really, I mean, when you consider the fact that we have been known to eat out 2 or 3 times a week, the fact that we waited until January 14th before we really did any eating out, I think that's pretty good. So yeah, it's not perfect, but I knew I wasn't going to be perfect. That's why I set the money aside. I knew there was going to come an occasion where we probably would eat out. It was just that I was trying not to. So it's better than it would have been had I not been trying to not eat out. So I'll take it as a win. All right, next up then we have a debt. I paid $88 to the minimum payment on my city card. So that is a debt payment. And that's a total of 88. And then lastly, we have household. I picked up some cat litter, and that comes out of our household budget. So that was $31.79. Wow, that's a very crooked line. So that was all of our spending. Not too bad. There's definitely been weeks where my expense tracker has been completely full. Really, we've been spending and shopping a lot less. Why am I putting Walmart? This is not what I'm supposed to be doing. This is supposed to be household. This is what happens when I try to talk and write at the same time. So, I lost my train of thought. I don't know what I was saying, so I guess we'll just pretend like I've completed that thought. $88.99 plus 40 plus 158.44 plus 41.69 plus 88 plus 31.79. We spent a total of $448.91 from our budgeted or from our, typical January budget. So I'd say that's pretty darn good. So I'm going to pull this expense tracker out. It's one of the things I love about this setup that I've got going on is I can easily move the pages, pull them out to reference, and I'm going to flip us back to the hybrid budget and start filling in these sections here. So the first thing I need to do is just update what bills got paid. So Michigan Gas got paid $67. You can see it here under the monthly section. Michigan Gas, I budgeted $67. Let me zoom you guys out just a little bit so we can get both of these pages in the shot. And then we'll do this. Yeah, that'll work. Okay, so we did pay $67 to Michigan Gas. And then the other bill that came out this week was YouTube Premium for $22.99. And YouTube Premium is here. We budgeted $25, so we came in under budget there as well. So that is the bills that got paid this week. Really quick, I'm going to flip over to debt. We budgeted $88 for that city card minimum payment, and $88 is what I paid. So perfect. All right, now the variable spending. This is really the main reason that I check in every week, to help me try to stay on track with our variable spending. So the categories I'm going to track today are grocery, household, eating out, gas. Up here you can see I've already given my husband the full amount of his spending money. I did that at the start of the month, so I don't need to track it anymore. I gave that money to him. He won't be getting any more until February. And the same with Austin. So we're going to skip those categories, but we do have my spending to track. And then we have miscellaneous and unbudgeted. So at the start of the month for groceries, I budgeted $600. In week one, which was a bit of a longer week, we spent $319.62, and we had $280.38 remaining for the month. It was a big couple of shopping trips, got us stocked up. So we only have $280.38 left in our monthly budget, and this week we spent $158.44. This is why I like to do the expense tracking first, because it makes it really easy just to plug the numbers from one worksheet into another. So at the end of last week, we had $280.38 remaining in our monthly budget. We spent $158.44, which means that we have $121.94 remaining for the month. And we still have week 3 and week 4 to get through. So, as I mentioned, I budgeted a pretty small amount. I knew we were probably going to spend more than that, but, you know, that's okay. Hopefully we'll be able to make it up in some of these other categories that we spend less in. And really, I was just trying to use January as a trial month to see about what we were going to spend, so I would know for future months what to budget. Okay, for household items, we budgeted a total of $200. Last week we spent $93.41. We had $106.49 remaining. This week we spent $31.79. So if we take what we had left over last week, $106.49 minus the $31.79, we have $74.70 remaining for week 3 and week 4. So that's not too bad. We'll have to see how it goes, but I think that should be enough. Eating out, we budgeted $200 because, like I said, my goal was to not eat out in January, but I knew there was a possibility that we would. So we budgeted that $200. Last week we didn't spend anything. This week we spent $41.69. So if we take that $200 minus the $41.69, we have $158.31 remaining. Since we're trying not to eat out, I think that's more than enough. With any luck, some of the overage we have left over from eating out will help cover whatever we go over in groceries. Okay, gas. I budgeted a total of $160 at the start of the month. Last week we spent $28.51, so we had $131.49 remaining. This week we spent $40. So we have $91.49 remaining for the last 2 weeks, which should be more than enough. All right, my spending. This is where we're going to go ahead and do the savings challenge. So I budgeted a total of $160 for myself for spending for the month. Last week we put $20 into the savings challenges. I didn't spend any of my personal money on anything other than the savings challenges. So we have $140 left for the month. I'm gonna go into my envelope and I'm going to just pull it out so I'm not flashing my ID or anything. So here is my spending money envelope. And I actually just went ahead and added all of the cash for the month into here because it was just easier than trying to add a little bit each week and confuse myself. So I should have $140 in here. Okay, friends, I confused myself, so I had to go back and look at last week's budget check-in to kind of figure out what I did. So I wrote in here last week that I pulled out, or I spent $20 on the savings challenge, and I did, like right at the start of January when I stuffed my envelope. I immediately rolled the dice and I pulled the cash out and put it towards debt and to my son's car savings. And then I stuffed my envelopes last week and I did the savings challenge again. So I didn't spend 20. I spent 20 the first time, and then the second time I did 4 to debt and then 12 to my son's car. So 16. So this should really read that I spent $36. I was expecting to see 140 in there, and I only had 124, and I could not figure out where that money went. Well, that's where it went. I just never accounted for it. So I need to be better about tracking this savings challenge. I might make myself like a little worksheet or something to keep track of it. For now, though, I'm just going to include what I put into the savings challenge last week and this week all on this line. So I already know that I put $16 in last week. So that means there's 124 here, which is what's left. Does that make sense? Or did I confuse you? So 20, 40, 60, 80, 1, 5, 10, 15, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. So I have $124. This is what is left of my spending money so far for the month. The only money that I have taken out of this envelope so far is just what I've put into the savings challenges so far. The way that I figure out how much I'm going to put into those savings challenges is by rolling a dice. So I do have the dice here. It is a 20-sided dice, and I'm just going to roll it the first time, and whatever it lands on, that amount of money I will take out of here to put into debt. And then the second time I'll roll it, that'll be the amount of money I put into my son's car savings. Those are our two main goals for 2023 in terms of financial goals, to pay down debt and to save for a not a down payment. I'd save for a car. We're hoping to buy a car in cash for my youngest son, who will be 16 in January of 2024. So I'm going to roll this dice here. 7. So we're going to put $7 to debt. And hopefully I have the right change. So 5, 6, $7 into debt, and I have this iridescent envelope that I've been sticking all of the money that I set aside for debt into, and then at the end of the month we'll make that debt payment, so that $7 will go into there, and then we'll roll it again. 5 will go into my son's car savings. So I did have enough. So that's going to leave me with 20, 40, 60, 80, 1, 5, 10, 11, 12. $112 for the rest of the month for my personal spending, which is more than enough considering I'm spending very little each month or each week. So yeah. Now we cleared up that confusion. So 16 is what we set aside. Let me go ahead and get this put in before I confuse myself further. My apologies for the shit show. So I have my son's car savings here in my sinking funds, and I'm just going to pull it out and add the $5. And I'm going to go ahead and write on the little card that we added $5 from the savings challenge. Today is technically the 24th, but I'm just going to write that it's the 16th because that will help me make sense of everything. So for the savings challenge, we added 5 to the car savings, and that should bring it up to $15.27. So I already added my $5. I've got my placeholders in here that I made for myself. So we have $1,500 in the bank. 20, 25, 26, 27. So $15.27 in my son's car savings. I'll get this put back. Okay. And then we know that we put 16 in last week plus 7 plus 5. So $28 is what I'm going to say we spent this week, just so that we are back on track. So 160, I'm sorry, last week we had 140 left, minus 28 should be 112, and that is what I counted, right? Now I can't remember. Let's count it again. 20, 40, 60, 80, 1, 5, 10, 11, 12. Okay, 112. All right, now back to finishing up our reconciliation here. For miscellaneous, we didn't have any spending. Last week, we also didn't have any spending. So at the start of the month, we budgeted $200, spent nothing week 1, nothing week 2. We still have that $200. And unbudgeted, we don't budget for unbudgeted, but I like to have a line item for it in case something comes up that we didn't budget for. So nothing unbudgeted, nothing remaining. So overall then, in variable expenses for week 2, we spent $299.92. Not too shabby. And that means we should have remaining, if all of my math is correct, and I always double check everything off camera after the fact just to make sure I haven't made any major mistakes. And a lot of times you guys help me catch mistakes that I've made too, so I appreciate that. We still have $758.44 in variable spending remaining for the month. So I think that that's totally doable. Even if we go over in one of these categories, if we can cover it with another category at the end of the month, I'm okay with it. I set specific budget amounts because that's obviously the goal. But if I'm not over budget overall at the end of the month, I'm happy with that. So while we only have $121.94 left in groceries for the week, or for the month, and we only have $74 in household, we still have our full miscellaneous budget, which can cover anything there. You know, we still have plenty in eating out and gas. So honestly, I think it's gonna be okay, but you'll have to come back and check out my budget update for week 3, which you guys will see in just a day or two because I am behind on filming. So it won't be a long wait for you. In fact, I'm going to film that next. So I'm going to go ahead and say goodbye so I can get that done. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, will you please give it a thumbs up? That really helps out my channel. It tells YouTube that this is the kind of video that you like, and therefore YouTube will share it with other people like you. So that's a huge help to my channel. Other ways that you can support my small business here is just by leaving a comment. In the comments section, you can visit my Etsy shop and make a purchase. That really helps me out, and I would appreciate your support. All of my YouTube friends do get 15% off of any purchase from my Etsy shop, so take advantage of that. I do have my February listings up, my candy collection. It's super cute pink conversation hearts. So if you are preparing for February, definitely check that out. Thank you so much again for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye!